Yeah. Okay, point to the rock on the picture.
Which one? Okay. That one there?
Is where?
It's this rock here. This rock here. There. It's that rock.
And where's the big boulder?
And that big boulder at the top there. Right. There. It's very confusing. They didn't have very good zoom in those days.
Oh, right. And where was the gun?
The rocket was...
Is this a position? This was a gun in place. Okay, so no, I was just looking at it. Why is it to be found in this position? Ditch it like that. This was not meant to be a defensive position. This was just meant. On the MRF, Matopos Land Relief Force, had tried, really without success, in the western Matopos to attack the rebels. Inkantola was probably a standoff, neither side really won. In Nungu, the Amandabeli won twice on the trot. The column moved to here and decided to make an attack on what was then known as Tshingengoma stronghold. Now the main stronghold was situated around and on top of Malumika, which is that big copy you see there.
Hang on, Barry, identified. 1, 2, 3 going round.
The prominent one. At this, the position where we are actually commands a view of.
Alright, straight at the back.
Okay, straight at the back. That is Malumika. The column left Sugarbush Camp, later to be the site of which was later to become Fort Umugulu, on the night of early morning on August the 5th. Now the main column stopped by the foot of the Boonkop, which you can see on the road coming here. An advance party was sent, commanded by one Captain Beresford, with the artillery. The theory probably being, we send the artillery to far away from the actual stronghold itself. We let the artillery bombard the stronghold, soften the rebels up, and then we'll send the men in to just clean up the rebels, which was probably a fairly good theory. But it turned out to be a bit disastrous. The gun position was established around 8:30 in the morning. In this very position, you'll see on the handout that you've got the distinctive rocks in front. The guns bearing on the stronghold, Malumika. However, the Ndebele actually reacted a lot more swiftly, a lot more intelligently than the MRF had anticipated. Of course, the Ndebele were watching this whole maneuver. And by the time the gun emplacement had been established, the Ndebele were coming around the foot. And the Amandebele made a rush on this position. Now, the lower photograph that you've got showing this position is in Baden-Powell's book. And he writes in that book, the trees in the foreground were all ripped and torn by rifle fire. The Amandebele's got probably as far as this close ridge. There is, Mrs. Vickery, Mr. Wink can bear me out on this. There was one particular instance, they were covered by they had a Maxim gun, but they got a bit confused. The chap manning the Maxim gun got a bit confused when an order was given, and he thought that the order meant that he was to leave the Maxim gun and withdraw. This was as the Amandebele were approaching very close, and it was only because another chap, whose name I can't remember at the moment, leapt in and got to the Maxim gun a fraction before the Amandebele got to the Maxim gun and managed to drive them off. So this position, even though it was just meant to bombard the stronghold from a nice, safe, comfortable distance, was itself almost overrun. Once Beresford realized that he was actually in quite a bit of trouble, which he hadn't anticipated, he tried to signal back to the main column, which was waiting by the foot of the Boonkop. And he fired a rocket. Now you'll see in this photograph, there's a field gun on the right. Underneath the field gun is a trough. Looks a bit like a water trough. That in fact is a rocket trough. And you can see lying on the left of the rocket trough are the rockets themselves. When he realized he was in trouble, he fired a rocket. But fired towards Malomita did have a bit of a disconcerting effect upon the Amandebele. He didn't realize quite what it was. Eventually though, the main column realized that everything wasn't going according to plan. And the column moved forward. Now, the first attack was made direct upon the stronghold. It was led by one Major Kershaw, who got almost to the top of the kopje. Now, just if you can imagine what it must be like, the weather probably very much the same as we're having today. The uniforms, the clothing that they were wearing, not shorts and peltskins, but probably corduroy longs and boots. The Amandebele were firing down from the top of the kopje. The attack by the MRF was made from the foot of the kopje, running up, trying to dislodge the enemy. Couldn't have been a very easy thing to do. Kershaw got almost to the top of Malomita, and he was killed. And there were two other people also killed on Malomita. Baden-Powell arrived on the scene and took a small party of Cape Boys. He took them down around Tshingengoma and onto the top, where he surveyed the situation and then signaled back that the Amandebele had in fact dispersed from that area. Baden-Powell in his book bemoans the fact that he was unable to pursue the Amandebele because he didn't have any men. One wonders if this were actually the case, because the Matopos were still holding the field. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the column thought it prudent to withdraw.